Well, folks, we have talked strictly about hunting today. After all, it is hunting season. We've had Larry and a bunch of folks on talking about deer hunting, and you name it. It's time to talk some fishing. I don't want to neglect the fishing talk that we usually do. I have a very special guest, Mr. Frank Pearce, standing by. We're going to tell you that Frank is a friend from 26 years ago, the best we can determine, and he's the one that came out with the mechanical baits, the topwater baits. Frank, thank you, buddy, for being with us.
Oh, Luke, it's my pleasure. It's been so many years since we went fishing at Lake Ray Hubbard, and you were skeptical, and all of a sudden we started throwing that shad back then, and in some topwater cover, and bass started blowing up on it, and you did an article on it, and I never forgot you. And now that I, spent the last 3 years trying to make the best mechanical lure in the entire world, and, humbly, I have to say, I think I did it. I just wanted you to have some and sent them to you, and, and here we are.
You bet. And folks, Frank summed it up very well. That's exactly what happened. When I met Frank, I had my oldest son, who was a teenager at the time, with me, and we went to, of all places, this guy named Frank Pearce says, let's meet out at Ray Hubbard. I thought, Frank, Ray Hubbard for bass, but you knew where some cover was, some vegetation. Now, folks, these mechanical lures, that's what they are. They are absolutely amazing. I still have one of those. I think it was a shad, and it just had the tail that flipped, the one I had.
Right.
I caught a ton of bass on this mechanical. It's a topwater bait. You just pull it, and it loads the spring in there, and that tail flips, and it just sits there and quivers on top of the water. I would take that. I had two of them after we got through with our fishing that you'd given me, and one of them I still have. But I caught a ton of bass. I'd be out on a story assignment on a deer hunt or turkey hunt when the weather was warm, or a hog hunt or something. A lot of these ranches have private ponds, I'd take that shad and throw it out there. That's the only bait I'd use. But now let's fast forward to right now. Folks,
sure.
we're going to give you a website. I want you to watch the video on this frog. I think the name of it is 22.5 Mechanical Lures. We're going to give you a website to go to in a little bit, but I want you to watch this frog. There's something about the way a bass hits a frog. They nailed it hard. Of course, I haven't had a chance to fish with this one, but I can just imagine chug it once or twice, that loads, once will load that spring, and then those back feet start flipping. I did put it in a swimming pool and looked at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got some good action on it. It took a long time to balance it and get it. As I had mentioned to you in our earlier talk, that, it's one thing to, first off, mechanical lures, they look so easy, just like a toy, and all you have to do, get a toy company to make it for you, and it's all good. It just doesn't work that way. There are just tolerances on these things. If you're going to make them stand up to, actual fishing conditions and all types of water, they really have to be not only designed well, but have to be manufactured well. And in this one, I had a choice. I could have made another shad or minnow with a tail vibrating. You have one moving piece, but I wanted to take on the ultimate challenge and have two legs kicking, which increases the complexity of these things tremendously.
I bet.
But so far, and I've thrown this one for about a year now, well, even longer than that, I have not had any breakdown, and that is a testament to my manufacturer, who they don't make large quantities, but they are very, very accurate and very good in what they do. And so I'm really proud of it.
Well, I'm glad I cannot wait. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about a trip to Lake Welch.
That's right.
A warm water lake.
I know it.
I did you haven't seen it just yet, but last week I did a newspaper article. It runs in the 41 newspapers that carry my column. It's the same column. But I did a column very much on what we're talking about right now. saying, here it is deer season, and I'm talking about topwater baits.
That's right.
But the truth is, it's more to it than just a topwater bait. It's it's something I can't wait to put to use, Frank. But it got me thinking, which as an old writer, I have a tendency to maybe think about things that some people wouldn't think about. But right. I was thinking, okay, this is a bass lure designed for bass. Now, I fish a lot not a lot, but I go every year up in Saskatchewan to a fly-in camp for pike and the really big fish. I could see it being a killer bait for those things. But let me ask you this, Frank.
Sure.
I also, here close to home, up at Lake Fork, some of the feeder creeks above Fork, I've got a buddy, Jeff Rice, that we do our outdoor video, A Sportsman's Life, together.
Right.
He has a creek right next to his land that loads up with white bass in the wintertime. The white bass run. And in my article I mentioned this. Yeah, this frog is going to be a little bit bigger than you'd use for a white bass lure, or
right.
Probably hybrid would go all over. Hybrid would hit it. But what do you think? Do you think I could just see taking a downsized version, tossing it up in a deep hole around a bend in a creek during the white bass run.
Right.
I bet they would tear one up. That frog may be a little intimidating for a white bass. I just don't know.
Well, I catch a lot of big bluegill on it.
Do you?
I mean, they will attack it.
Oh,
and
yeah,
absolutely. The only thing, and why I'm still waiting for the answer. Why a bass will not break the surface for a topwater lure when the water gets down to, wintertime.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't understand it, but they just won't do it. And so as soon as, October is over and you get a little in November and the colder weather, in some of the shallower lakes that have some old black mud, like in Louisiana, by February, fish, they're back on top. But, for those few months, it's really difficult. And so I don't know if white bass will, would do that if they have the same characteristic as largemouth.
Yeah,
but,
it's yeah.
But Lake Welsh, I have caught a ton on topwater, and when the snow and sleet is coming down.
That water's 72 degrees, probably,
Yeah, and it used to be Monticello was that way, but it's cold water lake now, as I understand it.
Yeah, I haven't fished Monticello in years, but Welch, I used to love to fish Lake Welch up there.
Oh, me too.
Well, so let's fast forward.
Sure.
See so many uses for this. Say you're in a school. Now, I know what the shad would do because I did it, your shad.
That's right.
But say you're in a school of surfacing white bass, busting the surface.
Oh, yeah.
That shad, you throw it out there and just jerk it along, and let it twitch. They would tear it up, the white bass
absolutely.
would.
I've caught a ton, in the summertime.
Yeah.
When they start, coming to the top and chasing shad and stuff.
Yeah.
But in the winter, I just don't know, Luke.
Yeah. I'm thinking in the summer when they're schooling.
Oh, okay.
Or in the spring,
Yeah.
And there are, like at Tawakoni, they're schooling hybrids and sand bass right now, believe it or not. But
wow.
There are. Yeah, but our stripers up at Texoma, a big school of surface feeding stripers. The frog is what you have now, and it's an awesome bait. I'm just wondering how these fish are going to react. I know what they did with the shad, but I doubt if they'd pay it'd be food on the surface twitching is what I think.
Well, not only that, but the thing is that when you have the lure and you pull that Spectra line, that's a 100-pound Spectra out of there, you'll hear that it makes a nice clicking sound too when those legs start kicking. And that is one of the keys that really brings fish to it.
See, I didn't even think about that. And of course, I haven't fished it. I just put it in the water and worked it, Yeah, that clicking sound. You bet it does. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Well, you've got me fired up, Frank. So let's
Well, I hope so.
Oh, yeah.
Because I put 3 years into this, and I put everything I had learned in 30 years, and the failures that, I had in the past of not making some the best that I had hoped because of deadlines.
Yeah.
I didn't have any deadlines on this one, and I was able to slowly make everything. And I put a lot of what I would call trade secrets into it that people are not going to recognize unless they know, I guess, what I know.
Exactly. Well, we don't need to know. We don't have to know all that stuff as long as we know we throw that frog
out
there.
You don't need my trade secrets.
No, as long as we.
I'm not really worried about anybody copying me. It's too difficult.
I can believe that, man.
And after 30 years, now, I have to say, Japan, they've made a ton of mechanical lures. In fact, they copied my first one. I mean, piece for piece. Which is somewhat of a compliment.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't quite figure out how to best keep that gearbox inside from getting contaminants in it, from dirty water and, the outdoors, salt water, et cetera. I've even got a special grease inside that gearbox now.
Awesome.
That we didn't have before. And this is really what sets this one apart and makes it so long-lasting. The legs on it, they're going to last for a long time. The body will last forever, and the mechanism.
Yep.
But I'm going to offer on my website, replacement legs also. So
I think that would be good. You bet.
Yeah.
Frank, I want
it or something.
Sure. I want to get you back, talk some more, especially when we start doing this. But would you give the website? I want you to go to this website and look at this live action with this frog. How do they find the website, Frank?
It's www.22, the numbers, like a 22 caliber, -5, FIVE.com.
Okay, 22, the numerals 22, don't spell it out, 22-5, FIVE.com. And watch that video, folks. And Frank, like I say, we're going to put this thing to use. I'm already excited about it, and I'll get you back on when we do, and maybe you and I could rekindle some fishing spirit there.
We definitely need to do that, and I need a cameraman, because if you look at my video, you wouldn't believe it, but I am filming it. It's all filmed by my left hand with an iPhone, and the right hand, I'm fishing.
I've done it. Well, we have Mr. Jeff Rice, who is an awesome videographer, that will take care of that. We'll do one of our little sports.
Well, I would appreciate it, Luke. It's my pleasure. I haven't spoken with you in so many years, and it was just, I was so happy to see that you've expanded your newspapers and so many radio stations.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun, Frank. Well, we'll get with you real soon, buddy, and thanks again.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Luke.